Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 13 Op Hus. Chapter 241. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I was eliminated by the world. It's ridiculous. I'm a world destroyer. Bundy Wald, how could I be eliminated by the world? Wald shouted. His eyes were red, and he was outraged by Mu Feng's anger. Armament hockey. Armament. Wald's armed color is very powerful, and can even reach the level of full body armor. The dark armed color covers the whole body, and Wald is like a dark ghost. Momo 100 times body. The Momo fruit's ability is very simple. It can magnify the speed, strength, volume, weight and other attributes of everything in multiples. Under the action of Momo fruit, Wald's body swelled rapidly. Originally, his figure was unusually burly, nearly 3 meters tall, but now it has directly expanded to a height of 300 meters. You know, the Little Oz of the Whitebeard Pirates is only more than 80 meters away. Little Oz's ancestor, the Berserker Demon Oz, was only more than 100 meters away. In other words, Wald in this form is the largest monster in the entire pirate world. If you calculate by volume, it's more than 100 times. And even with such a huge body, it can still be covered by armament hockey. At this moment, Wald can definitely be called a weapon of war. For countries like Dressrosa, throwing Wald in this state, it is estimated that the entire country will be destroyed at his feet in half a day at most. Known as the destroyer of the world, Wald is definitely worthy of the name. Advertisement. The reason why the theater version will be defeated is very simple: Luffy's aura of the theater version. Luffy with this halo is invincible. No matter how powerful the opponents, Golden Emperor, Golden Lion, Zephyr, and Wald, they were all defeated by him. Wald's figure is taller than the 2-story impel down prison. Boy, go to me to die, blame you for not offending your uncle Wald. Ahahahaha. Diaresis. Wald laughed frantically. The face covered by armament hockey looked very hideous. Lifting his foot, Wald stepped heavily on Mu Feng. Wald's foot directly crushed the entire Red Lotus Hell. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Is it dead? Or is it just being trampled on by me, Marine Admiral? Humph, it's really vulnerable. Wald said disdainfully. I'm afraid I will disappoint you. Suddenly a playful voice sounded from behind Wald. Wald was startled, his pupils shrunk into pinpoints. He turned around abruptly and looked at a smile on his face. He didn't know when Mu Feng appeared behind him. The whole person was sluggish, and his mind was a little confused. His observation hockey had been locked in Mu Feng just now, but at the moment his feet fell, he was still at his feet. When did he appear behind him? I didn't know it at all. Advertisement. When are you? Waldman asked with trepidation. Didn't you see it? Sorry, I don't have the habit of explaining to the enemy. Do you know, I am really upset when I look up at you like this. So, I decided, let you look up at me. Full body Susanoo. At the moment when Mu Feng's voice fell, his pupils had already turned into Rinnegan, and his pupil power escaped from his eyes and surrounded Mu Feng's body, condensing into a blue terrifying giant. He is wearing Wudiongu armor, holding a long sword in each hand, and 2 wings on his back. The huge size, reaching more than 500 meters in full, is close to 2 Wald heights. When Mu Feng turned on the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Susanoo completed the 4th stage, and then when he turned on Rinnegan, he directly completed the full body stage. The full body Susanoo is just like the god of war descending from the gods. Sure enough, it makes you more comfortable looking at you this way. Looking down at Wald, Mu Feng smiled and said that the speech is full of joy. Looking down at people is more refreshing than looking up. What is this ability? What exactly are you eating, devil fruit? Wald's voice was mixed with a trace of fear that he didn't even notice. Sorry, didn't I just tell you? I don't have the habit of explaining so much to the enemy, besides, I am still a dying person. Mu Feng said lightly. While speaking, Susanoo struck out the long sword in his hand. Advertisement. The full body of Suzwonung is so powerful that he can easily split mountains and meteorites with brute force, not to mention that Mu Feng is a kendo expert. The long sword smashed out, and Wald's body covered by armament hockey was chopped and cut out a deep visible bone. No, it should be said that even the bones were chopped off, and the flesh and blood were turned over. Is there any last words? I can say it. Of course, I just listen to it. If it is a last wish, then shut up, I don't have that idle time. Mu Feng said lightly. His tone was completely right. Wald zoms. Damn. Momo 100 times cannon. Wald yelled frantically. At the same time, he grabbed a huge boulder tens of meters beside him and threw it into the sky. It instantly became several thousand meters in size under the increase of Momo fruit, which even Zhao Lihao obscured the sky of impel down. Boy, come to death with me. Wald's eyes are full of madness. If such a terrifying giant is allowed to fall, not only Wald himself will be crushed to death, Magellan will be crushed to death, and even the great underwater prison that has existed for 800 years. The ship will be directly erased. It's really troublesome. Mu Feng murmured. After dispersing Susano, Miave village appeared in his hands again, facing the sky with a slash. The terrifying boulder was cut directly by Mu Feng, and then fell into the sea on both sides of Impel Down, setting off a huge wave, covering Impel Down, but it was cut off by Mu Feng. In the sky, after Mu Feng's slash cut the boulder, the sword intent had not disappeared, and the clouds in the sky were also directly cut away by Mu Feng's slash. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 242. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Wald's eyes widened, watching this scene in the sky. His eyes were full of unbelievable expressions. How could it be possible? How could there be such a terrifying slash in the world? How is it possible? Whether it is Golden Lion, Rayleigh, or Copper. They are all great swordsmen, but they can never cut such a terrifying slash. Wald roared. Great swordsman. Ha ha. So, you have long been abandoned by this era. Mu Feng said flatly, but full of contempt. At the same time as the voice fell, the attack of the long sword in his hand was cut out again. Seeing the black slashing attack, Wald showed fear in his eyes and clenched his fist. Armament Hockey doubled his arm, trying to block the slashing. However, the two arms were directly cut off by the slash, and then the whole body was also cut into two pieces. Wald could no longer maintain the effect of a hundredfold body of Momo fruit, shrunk back to its original size, half-length body lying there, looking up, staring at Mu Feng fiercely. Advertisement. His mouth was vomiting blood, and his face was as pale as paper. Difficultly said. But, damn it. I have only regained my freedom, Bondi Wald, and have not yet avenged the world government. I have not yet become One Piece. How can I die here? I want 990 to kill you. Wald's voice stopped abruptly, and the expression on his face became stiff. Congratulations to host, World Destroyer, Bundy Wald, who kills Momo fruits, rewards 1 super experience scroll, 573 advanced experience scrolls, and 386 exclusive experience scrolls for Armament Hockey, Observation Hockey's 235 exclusive experience scrolls. Because they belong to a special life, the host is rewarded with an additional scroll with a 100-fold Momo ability. The cold voice of the system rang in Mu Feng's mind. Hearing the rewards of the system, Mu Feng's eyes lit up. Hundreds of times Momo ability additional scroll. I once dropped an additional scroll of explosive ability when killing Garadius, who had the ability to explode fruit. It is used for skills and can add corresponding effects to skills. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. If the additional scroll of the 100 times Momo ability has the same effect. Imagine that Susano is 100 times bigger. The picture is too violent to watch. Just as Mu Feng was about to take out the scroll from the space backpack and study it, he made a sudden movement, frowned slightly, and cast his eyes to the exit of the great undersea prison. Da, 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 steady footsteps sounded, getting closer and closer. Advertisement. I saw a young man wearing a blood-colored suit and a blue enchanting rose on his chest walking out, with a corpse full of horror in his hands. It is more appropriate to say that it is a leather bag skeleton than a corpse. The young man threw the mummy aside and said disgustedly, "The blood in this place is not only dry, but also has a bitter taste that is hard to swallow. I really miss the virgin. The blood. It seems that if you are going to a certain country to find the virgin, the blood of the aristocratic virgin is the most wonderful." After speaking, the young man showed an intoxicated expression on his face, as if he recalled some happiness things. Baloric Letterfield. Mu Feng squinted slightly and spoke lightly. "Oh, I didn't expect anyone to know me. That's right, you are Marine Admiral after all." Letterfield was taken aback, and then said with a smile. "The famous Lonely Red, the Red Earl, and the Lonely Rider. I hate to form alliances with people, and adhere to the creed of loneliness. Only one person can be equal to the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. Such a legend, I am again, how can you not know? Mu Feng laughed. Barloric Leadfield, Zone Eudemon's vampire fruit ability. Possess the power of a vampire, and can return to a youthful appearance through BBEB, blood sucking, and even the body functions and abilities can be restored to a young state, which is very abnormal. You know me so much. Who told you? Sengoku or Garp? Baroque Letterfield asked curiously. My name is Monkey D. Mu Feng, the adopted grandson of the old man. Mu Feng said. It turns out to be the grandson of that guy Garp. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been locked up in the great undersea prison for so many years. Hey, if I had turned you into my blood slave, I don't know how he would react. What? Letterfield said with interest. Oh, yes, you don't know what blood slaves are, right? Blood slaves have the same lifespan and youth as me after being given the first embrace by me, which is pretty good, but you also need to pay a small price. Leadfield laughed. Advertisement. It's really good. Mu Feng nodded. Suddenly the conversation turned, his eyebrows raised, he looked at Letterfield with a faint smile and said, you can try. How could Mu Feng not know the vampire's methods? Being given the first embrace, life is completely controlled by the person who gave you the first embrace. Moreover, although vampires are longevity species, they can live for hundreds of years at most, and there are still many restraints. How could it be comparable to Mu Feng's collapsed jade? Even if there is no collapsed jade, and the vampire fruit is in front of him, Mu Feng will not eat devil fruit, which is controlled by the sea. Hearing Mu Feng's words, Letterfield squinted slightly, his eyes flashed brightly, his aura was almost gushing, but in the end he didn't make a move. Looking at Mu Feng, Barloric Letterfield smiled and said, forget it, you just slashed to the sky with that slash, but I'm not at all defeated by the old guy in 5 elders. I'm not sure to beat you. Can you let me go? Here I am for a second. I don't want to stay longer. 5 elders. Is it so difficult for this guy to fight 5 elders? It seems that he is not like Roger, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Garp, Sengoku, their contemporaries are so simple, maybe earlier. After eating the vampire fruit that can maintain his youth, who knows how many years he is an old monster. Leave. Sorry. The order I received is that if you can't handcuff Shanghai Lushi handcuffs again, you will be executed on the spot. Mu Feng said lightly. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 243. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Execution. Haha. Can you do it? Letterfield looked at Mu Feng and said lightly, with great confidence in his tone. Mu Feng did not speak, raised his hand, and struck Letterfield with a terrifying slash. What surprised Mu Feng was that Letterfield didn't mean to dodge in the slightest. He let his slash hit him, only hitting a Setsuna in Letterfield. The whole person turned into countless darkness all over the sky. Bat! Screamed. Then these countless dark bats gathered again and changed back to Leadfield. Looking at Mu Feng, who was surprised, Letterfield explained, the vampire fruit is the most special among all zone devil fruits. It can be elementalized, maybe, it can only be called pseudo-elementalization. After all, bats it cannot be called a kind of element. Really? It's really a good devil fruit. But are you so sure that you can dodge my attack? Mu Feng said with a smile. Raising his hand, the slash attacked again, this time the slash was unremarkable. There is no such thing as the power of slashing terror just now. But Letterfield's complexion changed suddenly, and he dared not use his body to resist. Waved. A blood curtain appeared in front of him. What surprised Mu Feng was that this blood curtain slightly blocked his slash. Advertisement. Although in the end, the domineering sword intent tore the blood curtain. But taking advantage of the time just now, Letterfield had turned into a bat and fled aside. Looking at the sea that was cut open in the distance, he said with lingering fear, what a terrifying sword intent. Originally I just felt that you had just reached the realm of that old man, but I didn't expect it to be even stronger than him. At least, that old man can't just cut it off. Such a terrifying slash. Hearing what Letterfield said, Mu Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. Although there are not many words in Letterfield, there is a lot of information in them. The old man in Letterfield's words should be the old man with the sword in Five Elders. As far as Mu Feng knows, the status of the old man with a sword in Five Elders is not low, second only to the old man with a flat hat in Five Elders. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The status in the pirate world is generally proportional to strength. In other words, the strength of the Sword Elder should also be one of the best in Five Elders. It is obvious that Five Elders with swords is a swordsman. The swordsmanship cultivation base is weaker than his own, but he can also slash out the sword intent. In other words, the swordsmanship of this old swordsman also broke through the realm of the supreme great swordsman. According to the level, he was LVMAX 13, which surprised Mu Feng a little bit. For the strength of Five Elders, Mu Feng has estimated that they are all four Emperor's level powerhouses, but now it seems that they are slightly different from his own estimates. Advertisement. Judging from the strength of the Sword Elders, there are at least 2 to 3 persons in Five Elders, possessing strength beyond the four Emperor's level, which surprised Mu Feng. But think about it. After all, the world government can stand in the world for 800 years without failing. Its profound background is not comparable to any force. Without continuing to shoot, looking at Letterfield, Mu Feng suddenly said, "Your age should be over 100 years old." Letterfield shrugged and said, "To be precise, I am 137 years old. Time is really a cruel thing. The guys of my age are almost dead. Of course, except for the 5 old people in the world government." Guy. Boy. I was caught by Garp 27 years ago, when the guy Roger hadn't become the One Piece. Depending on your age, you should be less than 30 years old, you actually have this kind of strength. And the most important thing is that it is still in the establishment of Marine, not being recruited or killed by those 5 old guys. I'm curious, how did you do it? D. Are you a member of the D family? No, you were just adopted by Garp. You shouldn't belong to the D family. Otherwise you have no chance to become so strong. Even if 5 elders doesn't trouble you, celestial dragons will destroy you. Or is it that you have been hiding your strength? Unexpectedly, this was less than 30 years, the world first came out of Roger, and then out of you. Quote. Seeking Flowers 0. Looking at Letterfield, Mu Feng frowned slightly, thinking in his heart, this guy actually knows so many secrets of the world. Sure enough, old but not dead as a demon. Advertisement. Suddenly thinking of something, Mu Feng said, let's do this, Letterfield, let's make a deal. You tell me all the secrets of this world you know, 5 elders, celestial dragons, and members of the D family. Secret, I will let you go. How? Hearing Mu Feng's words, Letterfield was taken aback for a moment, and then laughed and laughed. Use my life to make a deal with me. Boy, you are too naive, right? You know. Back then, I took the vampire fruit that an old guy is bound to win. 0. They can be said to hate me deeply, but I have lived well in the underwater prison for more than 20 years. Do you know why? Quote. Why? Mu Feng asked. He was really curious. If he really snatched what 5 elders wanted and became a prisoner, how could 5 elders spare him lightly? Because I am immortal. Letterfield laughed wildly. Although my blood slaves are not many, but they are all over the world. Even if you destroy my body, my consciousness will become to the blood slave and complete the rebirth. I admit that if you do your best, it is really possible to destroy my body, but you can't kill me at all. That's why I said that your transaction was too naive. Do you understand now? If you want to trade with me, please come up with some chips that fascinates me. Quote. If you destroy your body, consciousness will descend on the blood slave and complete the rebirth. This ability is really ridiculous. Mu Feng said distressedly. Suddenly the conversation turned, and said, if this is the case, then I can only kill your consciousness directly. Mu Feng looked up at Letterfield, his pupils had become Rinnegan. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 244. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Monthly reading. Mu Feng spit out 2 words faintly. Although it is Rinnegan state, it does not mean that Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil technique cannot be used. If that's the case, Mangekyo Sharingan was promoted to Rinnegan, not evolution but degeneration. When Mu Feng uttered the words, monthly reading, Letterfield had a bad feeling, but when he wanted to react, it was too late. Rinnegan's pupil power has passed through the line of sight, directly into Letterfield's pupils. Letterfield only felt that his eyes were dark. When I saw the scene time, 3 or 4-0, in front of me, the world had changed drastically. Letterfield found himself tied to a wooden cross frame. He tried his best to break free, but in vain. The sky was no longer a blue sky and white clouds, but blood-colored. The atmosphere was extremely dark and weird, and a blood moon hung high above the head. Welcome to my world, the world of monthly reading. Mu Feng appeared in front of him, opened his arms, as if embracing the whole world. Then he walked slowly towards Letterfield, and a sharp blade appeared in his hands for some unknown time. Advertisement. While speaking, Mu Feng had already walked to Letterfield. The sharp blade in his hand was on Letterfield's chest. Although I don't know what you did to me. But don't forget, my fruit ability can be beteased, and any physical attack is not on me. Halfway through, Letterfield stopped suddenly. Then a tearing pain spread all over the body. At the same time, Letterfield roared in pain. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Because the sharp blade in Mu Feng's hand has pierced his chest, and he has no way to bat himself, and the pain is unbearable. It's impossible. Physical attack. Letterfield's eyes widened. What happened to the physical attack? Mu Feng smiled lightly. At the same time, a sharp blade appeared in his hand. This time it was not the chest but the throat. The sharp blade pierced Letterfield's throat little by little. Mu Feng continued. Didn't I tell you, this is my world? Don't say that your cottage is elemental. Even the real Logia cannot be elemental. In addition, in this world, whether it's time, quality, or waiting, everything is controlled by me, the operator. For example, your current pain sensation has been magnified by me 50 times. Mu Feng's tone is completely a tone that you don't need to thank me, it's very awkward. At the same time, he pierced a sharp blade into Letterfield's spleen. Advertisement. The throat was punctured, and Letterfield's voice was very hoarse. It gave people a feeling of air leakage, and the spleen and heart were punctured, causing Letterfield to vomit blood at this time. With eyes wide open, Letterfield looked at Mu Feng. He could clearly feel the passing of the vitality of his own body. I am afraid that within half a minute, he will die. However, Letterfield had no fear at all, staring at Mu Feng fiercely in his eyes, and said, Marine Admiral, Mu Feng, the White Bear. Okay, I remember you. You were the first person who dared to kill me in more than 100 years. Hey, wait for me, Barloric lay Darfield revenge crazy. You will regret what you did today. After Letterfield died, consciousness will descend on the blood slave, naturally not afraid of death. Really? Then I have to see how you are going to make me regret, hee. Mu Feng looked at Letterfield and said with a smile. Seeing the smile on Mu Feng's face, Letterfield suddenly became inexplicably upset. But before he had time to think, his consciousness became blurred. After a while, death. Advertisement. I don't know how long it took before Letterfield regained consciousness. Before he could see the surrounding environment clearly, he said to himself, Marine White Bear, this hatred, Letterfield remembered. Wait, I must turning you into my blood slave. I did not expect that such a terrifying character appeared in Marine. I am afraid that some of the pirates in the sea will suffer. But who did my resurrection come to? Letterfield looked around. But the whole person was stunned. The blood-colored sky, the blood-colored earth, the blood-colored full moon. In front of him, there were still those cold eyes that made people fearful. How can it be? How could 1.2 still be here? After death, his consciousness should have descended on the blood slave. I'm not dead, Letterfield said. But it was not right. Although he was still tied to the cross wooden frame, the wounds on his body had completely disappeared. The heart, spleen, and throat were all intact. The kind of injury just now is simply because there is no cure for medicine and stone. Oh, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. I remember what you just said. Make me regret it. How can you regret the law? Can you explain it to me? Mu Feng said with a smile. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 245. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. While speaking, a sharp blade appeared in his hand, and then, pierced into Letterfield's heart again. With 50 times the pain magnified, Letterfield looked grim. How is it possible? I'm already dead. My consciousness will drop. Could it be? Could it be that you pulled my consciousness out of the body? Letterfield suddenly stared at Mu Feng and exclaimed. The more I think about it, the more Letterfield feels that there is only this possibility, and when he looks at Mu Feng, he can't help but be full of fear. Acting directly on consciousness, what is this ability? Moreover, he has no ability to resist at all, even Charlotte Linlin's soul fruit. As long as there is no fear in his heart, he will not be caught. Congratulations, the answer is correct. But there is no reward. Your consciousness has indeed been drawn into my monthly reading space. But rest assured, no matter how long you stay in the monthly reading space, the time spent outside is limited. It's just a moment. 11. Advertisement. Moreover, the injuries you receive here will not appear on your body. In other words, your body will not die, so no matter how many blood slaves you have, it is useless. Of course, you should not think that you are ideological now and will not die. Here, every time I kill you, your consciousness is weakened by 1 point, until the final consciousness dies, and what happens after the consciousness dies, I believe you are very clear. You will become the living dead, and your body, I believe 5 elders will be very interested. Looking at Letterfield, Mu Feng said lightly, as if to say another trivial thing. In Letterfield's eyes, only the color of fear was left. The longer he lived, the more he feared death. But before he could speak out, his head was cut off by Mu Feng. Then, death again and again. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. All kinds of death methods, what Mu Feng knew and heard, all tried on Letterfield. I don't know how long it has passed, the monthly reading space has not changed at all. 237 times. Well, it's an old guy who has lived for more than 100 years. The intensity of consciousness is beyond my expectation. But now it should be the end of the force. I want to see. You can withstand several deaths. Mu Feng said with a smile. A sharp blade appeared in his hand, and he was about to pierce Letterfield's heart. There was no way. More than 200 deaths had already tried the punishment that Mu Feng knew. Advertisement. Stop it. Wait a minute. When the sharp blade in Mu Feng's hand pierced Letterfield's skin again, Letterfield suddenly spoke. The voice is extremely weak. He can feel the weakness of his consciousness. I am afraid that his consciousness will dissipate in less than 5 deaths. Any last words to explain? Mu Feng paused. I agree to the deal with you. I will tell you all the secrets I know, and you will let me go. Letterfield said. Oh, this is it. I'm sorry, I suddenly became disinterested in these. Mu Feng smiled. At the same time, the sharp blade in his hand pierced into Letterfield's heart. Letterfield's consciousness was already weakened a lot, unable to withstand too much damage, so he died immediately after being pierced into his heart by Mu Feng. When he woke up again, he was even more frightened. Because the consciousness is getting more and more blurred, if at this speed, I am afraid that I will suffer 2 deaths again, my consciousness will be completely eliminated. Let me go. I promise to give you gold. Treasure. Devil fruit. I have a blood slave who controls a country, and I can give this country to you. Letterfield yelled in horror. Want to stop Mu Feng's actions? What you said is really tempting. Mu Feng frowned and said very distressed. Advertisement. Seeing Mu Feng's look at the moment, Letterfield became excited. Seeing the hope of living, he couldn't help shouting. All the treasures I have collected will be given to you. All to you. Let me go. However, Mu Feng suddenly changed his conversation, looked at Letterfield, and jokingly said, although I like treasure, 657 people. But I am more afraid of trouble. If you are alive, Tenten will make trouble for me, then it will not be good. So you should die for me. While speaking, Mu Feng killed Letterfield again. Soon, Letterfield woke up. This was the last chance for his consciousness to survive, watching Mu Feng stab his sharp edge. Letterfield didn't dare to hesitate, and said loudly. Wait a minute, I am willing to surrender to you and be your slave. Oh. Hearing Letterfield's words, Mu Feng raised his brows and said with interest, this is a good way. But how can you guarantee your loyalty? I don't want to feed one. The unfamiliar wolf is by his side. Letterfield's strength is indeed good. He can compete with 5 elders. His strength at least surpasses the 4 emperors level. If it weren't for the monthly reading, Letterfield's fruit ability has not had time to play, maybe it will. Let him run away. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtlnovel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 246. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The combat power surpassing the 4 emperors level, looking at the entire pirate world, it is also very rare. Except for the 5 elders, who do not know the depth, Roger may be, and Whitebeard at the peak must be. The strength of the army commander Kong is also unknown. If Letterfield had a way to guarantee loyalty, it would not be impossible to take him into a slavery. After all, killing him was nothing more than dropping some experience scrolls, vampire abilities, or vampire fruits of eudemons. It doesn't have much effect on oneself, so how can there be a combat power that surpasses the 4 emperors level and is practical? Letterfield gritted his teeth and said, "Vampire fruit ability, there is a drop of effort in his heart. Anyone who combines this drop of effort can control me. I am willing to give this drop of effort to you and let you control me." "Oh, really?" Mu Feng squinted slightly and looked at Letterfield. After a long while, with a faint smile on his face, he said, "Okay, just do it." He could see that when he said this, Letterfield's eyes did not flicker, and there was no strange expression on his face. It should be the truth. Moreover, Mu Feng is not afraid of Letterfield lying. When the painstaking efforts are in my hands, the attributes of the items will be clearly displayed in my mind, and I can tell at a glance whether it is true or not. Mu Feng snapped his fingers, turned and left, stepping out, and the world collapsed. Advertisement. And Letterfield only felt that the world was spinning, and when he saw his surroundings clearly, he was already in the square above him, fell down, the boundless sea around him. Letterfield clutched his heart and screamed in pain, his face pale and sweat dripping with cold. With a boom, Letterfield knelt on one knee. Consciousness damage is not the same as physical damage. Physically injured, he has extremely tough willpower, and maybe he can persist for a while. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. But the injury of consciousness is not the same as being able to persevere with a tyrannical body. Okay. Give your hard work. Tell you. Don't want to play tricks. My patience is limited. Looking at Letterfield, Mu Feng said lightly. Already out of the moon-redding space, Letterfield subconsciously wanted to escape, but when he saw Mu Feng's pair of strangely patterned pupils, he couldn't help but feel terrified. He has a feeling that as long as his feet dare to move one step, he will definitely die. With a struggling expression in his eyes, Letterfield pointed his right hand into a knife, and with a whimper, his nails became slender and pierced directly into his heart. Letterfield fumbled in his body for a while, then took out. Advertisement. Holding a crystal clear blood-red spar in his hand, his face was full of hesitation. In the end, Letterfield passed the spar to Mu Feng and said, "This is my painstaking effort, you can control me as long as you swallow it." "Effort? Are you sure? It's obviously a stone," Mu Feng said, ignoring Letterfield's expression of vomiting blood, and took his effort. As soon as the blood-red spar was in his hand, Mu Feng had a new message in his mind. Item. Letterfield's painstaking efforts. Open black lens bracket type. Wonderful object close black lens bracket. Quality. 5 stars. Remarks. As a person with the ability of vampire fruit, Letterfield can only condense one heart's work in his life, absorb his heart's blood, and then he can control Letterfield. At the same time, it can have some of the abilities of Letterfield, because this part of the ability does not come from devil fruit, but from Letterfield, so it is not restricted by the sea or sea building stones. Close black lens bracket. I found a crystal stone that can absorb energy. May I ask if the host absorbs it? The cold voice of the system sounded in Mu Feng's mind. After taking a look at Letterfield, Mu Feng said lightly, "It is indeed your painstaking effort, and after absorbing it, you can still have some of your abilities. There is no trick. I originally thought that if you were doing tricks, directly killing you, it looks like it's no longer necessary." Advertisement. At the same time, Mu Feng said silently in his heart, "Absorption." Then the blood-red spar in his hand turned into a burst of energy and merged into his body. Looking at Mu Feng, Letterfield had a horrible expression. How could he know? Just glanced at his own blood spar and knew the effect of everything. This is my biggest secret, I have never told anyone. Moreover, for 800 years, he was the first person with the ability of vampire fruit, and the world government is absolutely impossible to have information. Nuo Jiao. In Letterfield's eyes, Mu Feng became more and more mysterious. At the same time, he became more and more afraid of Mu Feng, but fortunately he won't be an enemy in the future. Looking at Letterfield, Mu Feng's mouth twitched slightly, and his heart moved. Letterfield suddenly lay on the ground and struggled. His expression was extremely painful, but soon he recovered and looked at Mu Feng puzzled. Seeing the gaze cast by Letterfield, Mu Feng shrugged and said, "Sorry, I just want to try it to see if it really works." The corners of Letterfield's mouth twitched twice. Under the control of others, what could he do? After a long while, he asked, "Then, how do I act next?" Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 247. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hearing Letterfield's inquiry, Mu Feng was silent, and then he said, "You are now going to the Hunters Guild on the 13th island of Chambord. You should know the Pluto Rayleigh. Find him and tell him that it's Senju Hashirama. You go to him to help rescue Ace. Here, this is an identification mark. With it, Rayleigh won't doubt it." Mu Feng threw a hunter's license to Letterfield. The hunter's license numbered 7. The hunter license is made by Mu Feng using wood style. There is no possibility of imitation, and Rayleigh also knows the identification method, especially the top 20. After receiving the hunter's license, Letterfield glanced at Mu Feng in surprise, nodded, did not ask anything, and turned into a sky full of bats and flew away. Looking at the disappearing Letterfield, Mu Feng walked up to Magellan. Just when the monthly reading was lifted, Mu Feng used Conqueror's Haki to stun Magellan. Although Magellan has the strength comparable to Admiral, the battle just now was exhausted, and Mu Feng's Conqueror's Haki was unprepared to release him. He was 633. Naturally will be recruited. Director Magellan, are you okay? Mu Feng woke up Magellan. Advertisement. Magellan opened his eyes were full of confusion. He was still confused right now. When he saw Mu Feng, he calmed down and said hurriedly, "White Bear Admiral, how is Letterfield? You have arrested him. To him." "Sorry." Mu Feng shrugged and said, "His devil fruit ability is very strange. He escaped when I thought I caught him." No, Magellan said hurriedly after listening to Mu Feng's words. "It is my responsibility to break the great undersea prison. As the director, I have returned so many wicked guys back to the sea. I am willing to accept the world government. Any penalties?" Mu Feng smiled and said, "Blackbeard was able to successfully implement this conspiracy through the status of 7 warlords of the sea, and the status of Wang Shachi BBDA, Wu Hai was granted to Blackbeard by the world government in person. So the biggest responsibility should be borne by the world government. And at that time, I will also intercede for Director Magellan. The punishment will not be enough, but demoting is inevitable. I hope that Director Magellan will not complain too much." Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Even though Mu Feng did nothing, the punishment imposed by the world government on Magellan was nothing more than demoted to the deputy director of the great undersea prison. You can sell Magellan a favor with your lips. Why not do this kind of thing? Sure enough, after hearing Mu Feng's words, Magellan was so moved that he almost cried, and said gratefully, "Thank you, Admiral, the White Bear. Please give me your advice if you can go to the official position in the future." Mu Feng didn't speak, just smiled. At this time, the voice of the phone worm rang. Advertisement. Moses, Marshal. Well, the great undersea prison has already been dealt with. The fellow Wald was killed by me, but Letterfield's devil fruit ability was too weird, and he escaped in the end. Now, Mu Feng said. It's a phone worm from Sengoku. Well, Letterfield's fruit ability is very special. Even if you kill him, the vampire fruit ability will resurrect him, so don't care. Sengoku said. After a pause, he continued. Mu Feng boy, the battle for the top is about to begin. Return to naval headquarters as soon as possible, even if you are unwilling to take action. But this time the Whitebeard pirates are coming aggressively, for the sake of Marine's power. As Marine admirals you will also appear. I see, Marshal. I will return to naval headquarters later. Mu Feng said lightly. Through the phone worm, Sengoku couldn't see the corners of Mu Feng's mouth. The battle on the top. This time the battle on the top can be said to be more magnificent than the war in the plot. How could I be absent? Got it. Letterfield said coldly, and then hung up the phone worm in his hand. Reappearing in the world more than 20 years later, the first thing Letterfield did was naturally to understand the era before he contacted his blood slave. Within a few hours, the blood slave told him all the major events that had occurred in the past 2 decades. Advertisement. Playing with the hunter's license in his hand, Letterfield muttered to himself. White bear. Mu Feng. It turns out that it is not only Marine Admiral as simple as that, but the strongest in the world. Even Whitebeard is not an opponent, it is really scary. But the more interesting thing is the existence of the Hunter Guild. If there is nothing wrong, the White Bear and Senju Hashirama should be the same person. In this case, the identity of Aizen Sosuke is also worthy of scrutiny. Yo ha ha ha, it's getting more and more interesting. There is such an identity, such a layout, and an unknown plot. I am looking forward to what will happen next. Quote. Hunters Guild, Island 13 of the Chambord Islands. Rayleigh, who was drinking his beer, was taken aback for a moment, his hand motion stopped, his eyes squinted slightly, and his eyes cast towards the gate of the Hunters Guild. When the figure walked in, Rayleigh's eyes widened when he saw the person who came. Rayleigh, long time no see. Aristocratic voice sounded. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 248. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Letterfield, I didn't expect you to escape from the great undersea prison. I thought you would die in there. Rayleigh said with a smile. At the beginning of New World, Roger Pirates played against Letterfield. Letterfield vs Roger Pirates whole group. Huh, how could I lead to death in Letterfield? If it weren't for those 5 old guys who were afraid of me to run away, and there was a sea stone in my mouth, I would have escaped from the great undersea prison. Ah, Letterfield said with disdain. In order to prevent Letterfield from committing suicide, because suicide was equivalent to running away for him, Letterfield was not only tied up with the sea tower stone chain, but also stuffed with sea tower stone in his mouth. Hee hee. I didn't expect that you are still so young. I really envy you, Rayleigh said with a smile. He was also very happy to see his old friends. If you envy you, I can turn you into my blood slave. Letterfield looked at Rayleigh, with a light of interest in his eyes. Forget it, for the sake of youth, let me give up my freedom, I can't do it. Is there anything? You came here specially, not just to show me that you are younger than me. Rayleigh brows picked, asked aloud. Letterfield didn't speak, and flicked his wrist. Advertisement. The Red Hunter's license was inserted on the bar in front of Rayleigh. Rayleigh didn't pay much attention to it, but when he saw the number on the Hunter's license, his pupils shrank suddenly. The number is 7, the first 20. In other words, was Redfield appointed by Aizen Sosuke. Moreover, there are only a few days before something happened in the great undersea prison. Letterfield joined the Hunters Guild. Whose handwriting was it? Is it the kid Hashirama or Aizen Sosuke? Senju Hashirama asked me to come to you to help rescue Ace. I'm curious, this guy named Ace is obviously the crew of the Whitebeard guy. When did your Roger Pirates and Whitebeard Pirates have such a good relationship? Laidfield was very puzzled. Don't look at Roger and Whitebeard. Even after becoming the One Piece Queen, he thought that the Whitebeard Pirates had a good relationship with the Roger Pirates. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Back then, the 2 pirate regiments fought hard on the sea. Hearing Letterfield's question, Rayleigh smiled bitterly and said, although Ace is a member of Whitebeard's crew, he is also the son of Roger's bastard. Hearing what Rayleigh said, Letterfield was taken aback, and then laughed loudly. Ahahahaha. Roger's kid actually recognized Whitebeard as a dad. It's really interesting. I don't know if Roger will be pissed off. Advertisement. Hearing what Letterfield said, Rayleigh had nothing to say except a wry smile. However, the ability of the kid Senju Hashirama to be able to earn Letterfield into the Hunters Guild is really scary. I am afraid it is not inferior to the White Bear. With the help of Letterfield, Rayleigh is more confident about rescuing Ace. Naval Headquarters, Malin Vander, Marshal Marine's office. At this moment, in addition to the high-level Marines, there are also 2 guys in yellow military uniforms. Marshal Sengoku, Field Marshal Quentin Terran came to support, on the order of Marshal Sengoku. The guy in the yellow uniform looked at Sengoku and said. The man had a face of fortitude and integrity, and he carried a huge axe behind his back. Find flowers 0. It seems that there is a very fierce feeling. Not to mention the combat power, just relying on the momentum. This is the model of the military. It is absolutely more than 10 streets to get rid of the two guys Aokiji Kizaru. Mu Feng shamelessly excludes himself from Aokiji Kizaru. Thanks for your hard work, Marshal Quentin Tarrant. Sengoku said politely. Advertisement. Although they are both marshals, one is Marshal Marine and the other is Field Marshal. There are two systems that can't be beaten at all. Except for the World Summit every 4 years, there is basically no chance to meet, so Sengoku and Quentin Tarrant are not familiar with each other. Marshal Sengoku. Hello. I'm the 1st Army Corps, Captain Scorsese. The thin man standing next to Quentin Tarrant said. The man had gloomy eyes and a hoarse voice, like a beast. Hearing the man's name, Sengoku's eyes lit up and said, Army Leopard King Scorsese, admiring his name for a long time, I finally saw a real person today. Scorsese did not talk nonsense, and continued. This battle I brought a total of 10,000 of the most elite fighters of the 1st Army, with the sharpest blades and strongest armor. Please make this battle the most difficult. We will hand over the front of the battle to complete the task to the death. Okay. Marshal Sengoku beamed with joy upon hearing Scorsese's words. The Army's combat power is lower than that of Marine, which is an indisputable fact. The army of 18 legions is less than 1/3 of Marine's combat power. But the 1st Army Corps is an exception. The 1st Army Corps is stronger than the remaining 17 corps combined. The elite selected from the 1st Army are not inferior to the elite Marine of Naval Headquarters, and the Army is better at cooperating than Marine. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 249. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's just a bunch of scum on the ocean. Don't worry, Marshal Sengoku, the elite of our 1st Army have always been invincible. I will help you clean them out. Scorsese said slightly disdainfully, as if the Whitebeard pirates are just a group of weak chickens. Hearing what Scorsese said, the expressions of Marine who were present became unsightly. What does this mean? The Whitebeard pirates are just a group of scum on the sea, and Marine has dealt with it for a whole 10 years, and it has not been wiped out. This is simply contempt for Marine Kai Guogo, plus contempt for it. Haha. I advise you, don't think too much of your 970. Tenton is active in the belt-like place of the Red Earth continent, and your vision will be lowered. You are more than 10,000 elite army soldiers, I am afraid that you will not be able to stand it. Whitebeard hit it with a fist. Suddenly a faint voice sounded. Huh. Scorsese frowned, looked for the sound, and saw that Mu Feng was making the noise, and he said in a deep voice, White Bear Admiral. I heard that you are now the strongest in the world, and Whitebeard, just right. It's also the strongest in the world. In 5 years, I haven't heard you challenge him again. Could it be that Admiral, the White Bear? Are you afraid that Whitebeard will not succeed? Scorsese's words are utterly condemning. Haha. What do I do? Do I still have to report this kind of garbage to you? Mu Feng said lightly, and his words were full of contempt. You. Scorsese glared at Mu Feng, killing intently. What am I? Since it's rubbish, just shut up. Mu Feng said, leaving no feelings in the words. Advertisement. At the same time, Conqueror's Hockey rushed towards Scorsese with sword intent. His face was flushed first, then pale. Scorsese retreated like a heavy hammer on his chest. Until his back hit the wall, he could not stop the retreat. Sorry, it seems I just looked at you highly. At your level, hee, I can't hold Whitebeard's fist. Mu Feng said contemptuously. I'm going to kill you. Scorsese looked at Mu Feng angrily and roared. At the same time, his hands have become 2 huge leopard claws. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. As the commander of the Army's 1st Corps, Scorsese's strength is definitely admiral level. He is the capable person of devil fruit, the dread leopard fruit of the ancient zone species. As the name suggests, a leopard with the size of a dinosaur is very terrifying, even the saber-toothed tiger cannot stand its slap in front of the panther. Come on, if you can do it. Of course, as long as you dare to do it, neither the army nor the world government can stop me from killing you. Mu Feng has already moved to kill. Sengoku can naturally feel Mu Feng's killing intent, but he knows very well that if Mu Feng's killing intent is really transformed into killing intent, then Scorsese will definitely die. He hurriedly said, Mu Feng, Scorsese just said unintentionally just now. Now, the enemy is now, it's not the time for infighting. Scoses, step back. What are you doing? Intent to shoot against your colleagues, do you want to openly violate military discipline? Quentin Tarrant reacted and hurriedly reprimanded Scorsese. Advertisement. At the same time, I was very shocked at Mu Feng's strength. Scorsese was the strongest commander of his army and the second-ranked man in the army. He didn't expect to be directly defeated by the White Bears' conquerors' hockey and momentum. The strongest in the world. It is worthy of being the strongest in the world. Looking at Mu Feng bitterly, Scorsese died. He is not mentally retarded. With a little calm mind, he can realize that he will not be Mu Feng's opponent at all. More than 10 days' time is fleeting. Naval Headquarters, ManhwaEDit. The original prosperous ManhwaEDit has now become an empty city, and all the residents of the town have already received the news of Naval Headquarters and have all evacuated. Most of Marine's family members were taken by Zephyr to the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Advertisement. Mary Geoise's Celestial Dragons requires a Marine Admiral to be resident. There is no way, in order to get both Aokiji and Kizaru to participate in the battle. Sengoku can only use Zephyr, the former admiral, to fool these guys. Anyway, for Celestial Dragons, as long as there is an admiral guarding Mary Geoise, they can be at ease, and they won't care about admiral, former admiral. ManhwaEDit, Olis Grand Place. All the well-known Marine officers on the entire sea were gathered from all over the world in 4.8 circles and gathered into a total of 100,000 Marine elite troops. The crescent-shaped Olis harbor was surrounded by 50 armies, countless heavy cannons were erected on the shore. The guard at the front of the port is 7 warlords of the sea. And at the end of the square stands tall, is a execution stand. Under the escort of 2 executioners, Ace walked to the execution platform step by step and knelt on the execution platform under the escort of 2 executioners. At this moment, there are only less than 3 hours left before Ace's execution. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 250. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. There are only 3 hours left. The Whitebeard pirates have not yet appeared. Countless people are watching the dynamics of Naval Headquarters, because the next war. But will determine the future of the entire sea. The situation. Will the pirates rise again, or Marine will continue to dominate the sea? Do you think he will come? Although he is Whitebeard, he is a lot of age. And he hasn't seen any major movements for many years. Someone questioned. He's already a pirate who has passed away. Also, when has Marine Headquarters been defeated? Whether he wins or loses, he will die very heroically, right? Don't compare him with the average old man, he is not old at all. Just a year ago, we were so scared just to see him sitting there. In the Chambord Islands, journalists and photographers flocking from all over the world are also preparing to release news to 10 countries as soon as possible. Advertisement. Don't let your guard down. No matter what happens, it's only 3 hours. By that time, everything is over. A Marine lieutenant of the giant clan shouted loudly on Olis Square. The roar resounded throughout Olis Square. Naval Headquarters is already ready, and every Marine is persevering. Hee. Jessman, this big guy, I didn't expect to be quite agitating. Under the execution platform, Mu Feng said with a smile. In the original plot, there were 3 admirals sitting under the execution platform. But now under the execution platform, there are 7 seats. Mu Feng sat on the most central seat. Next to him were Field Marshal Quentin Tarrant and Kizaru. On one side of Kizaru sat Aokiji and Fujitora, while on Quentin Tarrant's side were Sis, Kuzes and Red Dog. 7 great powers of the world government. Compared to the top battle in the plot, the lineup at this moment is absolutely terrifying several times. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. However, among the 7, only Mu Feng can still smile. After Ace was put on the execution table, Garp and Sengoku walked side by side, walked out, glanced at Ace on the execution table. Garp looked silent. Sengoku and Garp walked all the way. When they stepped onto the execution stage, They paused, looked at Garp and said in a deep voice, "That's so sure, Garp. I will announce everything." Announcing old friends and relatives. Sengoku's execution was also uncomfortable. Advertisement. "Whatever you want, I'm going down." Garp grinned and responded. Instead of boarding the execution platform with Sengoku, he walked to the side of Suru under the execution platform. He glanced at Garp next to him and said, "You are not the fault." Garp was silent for a while before suddenly laughing. Puff. Ha ha ha. At this time, women are the most gentle, ahe. Although he was laughing, there was not a hint of joy in Garp's voice. He looked at Garp, then at Ace who was kneeling on the execution stage, and finally cast his eyes on Mu Feng who was smiling lightly, his eyes deep. With her knowledge of Mu Feng and seeing Ace's execution with her own eyes, he would never be indifferent. "Get out of the way." Sengoku walked up to the execution stand, watching the two executioners and said, "Yes, Marshal Sengoku." The two walked aside, only Sengoku and Ace were left in the center of the execution platform. On top of his head is a seagull symbolizing marine, wearing a marshal's cloak. Sengoku holds a phone worm in his hand, and said in a deep voice, "I have something to announce to everyone. It is about the execution of Bhaskar D. Ace today. The significance of." All the people present were stunned. Wasn't Ace executed to declare war on Whitebeard? Is there any other meaning? All eyes were on Sengoku on the execution platform. Advertisement. Sengoku stood straight, glanced at Ace, and asked, "Bhaskar Ace, now say your father's name." "Dad? What? When is it?" I still ask this question. Countless people are all talking about it. "My dad is Whitebeard." Ace closed his eyes 613 and said, "No." Sengoku yelled, "Yes. It will only be Whitebeard. No one else." Ace shouted. The whole square could hear Ace's voice. "At that time, we tried all the hard work to search for that island. Just because we heard that there might be the man's flesh and blood there. Based on the minimal intelligence obtained by the World Spy Organization and that little possibility, we investigated everything. Newborn and upcoming children, as well as their mothers, still get nothing. It's no wonder that this is your mother's life in exchange for it. It can be said that she has deceived our eyes with all her effort. No. It has deceived the eyes of the whole world. There is an island in the South China Sea called Bartlillard, and your mother's name is Portgas D. Luju. That woman is far beyond what we can imagine, and the strong heart of protecting the child made her spend 20 months to give birth to the baby in the womb. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 251. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Every time Sengoku said, Ace's color became gloomy. Until the end, blue veins broke out on his head and his nails were deeply embedded in the flesh. As for the entire Alice Square, everyone held their breath. They have a hunch. Next. Marshal Sengoku will announce a big news. Mu Feng frowned, did not speak, and was a little dissatisfied with Sengoku's actions, but he also knew that these were all instructions from the five old guys. He glanced at Garp under the execution stage. At this time, Garp lowered his head and trembled all over. There was no way to keep calm. "It's really hard for you, old man. But don't worry," Mu Feng said silently in his heart. Even for Garp, he would never let Ace die. On the execution stage, Sengoku continued. "At the same time as giving birth to you, your mother was exhausted due to physical strength and died on the spot. 1 year and 3 months after your father's death, inherited the child of the most evil blood in the world is born. There is no way you would not know it. That is, your father is One Piece. Gall D. Roger." Sengoku announced Ace's true identity under the gaze of hundreds of thousands of people. At this moment, everyone who heard the news opened their eyes wide. No one would have imagined. Roger's blood is still alive. Advertisement. Firefist Ace is the son of Gall D. Roger. One Piece's blood. This is going to be the headline news. Hurry up and send it to the head office. Now, it's going to be extra news. Quote. Are you still alive? The blood of sin. All over the world, people who heard this news were all caught in a boil. One Piece, who was executed by Marine 22 years ago, actually left his blood. The entire Olis Square was quiet. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Roger's son. Didn't I hear that everyone related to Roger was executed at the time? His biological son survived. This is a miracle. Gecko Moria looked shocked. Unbelievable. Oh, fur. Doflamingo laughed with a gleeful look, even though he had received some news from other sources before that. Let everyone digest the shock for a while. Sengoku continued and said, it was about 2 years ago. When you named your mother's surname as the Pirates of Spades, identity, with extraordinary power and speed, galloping in this sea. At that time, we finally realized that Roger's blood was not cut off. Advertisement. But Whitebeard, who was aware of this at the same time as us, took the son of his former opponent on his ship in order to train you to become the next One Piece. Quote. Ace, who was on his knees on the execution stage, interrupted Sengoku and shouted, no. I got on board to make Dad the One Piece. Only you think so. Sengoku said solemnly. In fact, the reason why we have not dared to act rashly is because you are protected by Whitebeard. But if you always let it go, your qualifications will eventually help you stand at the culmination of the next pirate age. So it is of great significance to take your head off here today. Even if it turns into an all-out war with Whitebeard, it will not hesitate. In the last sentence, Sengoku yelled at the square of Marin Vander, and his voice was very contagious. When Marine was heard, he was very angry and raised the weapon in his hand. Marshal Sengoku, report something to report. Below the execution table, a major general looked up at Sengoku and said loudly. Marshal, the gate of justice opened without anyone giving instructions. And there is no way to get in touch with the power room. What? Sengoku looked surprised. Although the corresponding psychological preparations have already been made. But when you really have to face it, you will still be a little dignified. After all, it is the Whitebeard Pirates. The world's strongest pirate group, it's not just talking about it. Advertisement. He cast his eyes on the door of justice in the distance. Tour Knight Thomas, Brothers D. Calvin, Skiyard the Great Vortex Spider, these outstanding big pirates, all of them are the captains of the New World, in the world. 43 ships in total. Lead is only Whitebeard and the captains of the various teams are missing, but there is no doubt that they are all pirates under the Whitebeard pirate group. Brother Ace. Here we are. Brother Ace. Why? Even you. Ace on the execution stage looked at the many pirates who came over, his expression sluggish, and the expression in his eyes was extremely complicated. At the same time, Marine also became nervous. Do you want to launch an attack? Wait. Whitebeard must be nearby. Whitebeard must have tried. Keep a close watch on the sea. The Marines did not dare to act rashly without seeing Whitebeard appearing. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 252. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Foo. Really? So interesting. I can't help it. Hurry up and come out. Whitebeard. Doflamingo looked at the scene in front of him, excited. Trembling. Whitebeard doesn't know how it will appear. Kizaru, who was sitting next to Mu Feng, said. From underwater. Mu Feng said lightly. Although the voice was not loud, it was clear, including Sengoku on the execution stage. All eyes were on the bay in front of Olis Square. Pump. Suddenly there was the sound of bubbles popping up on the sea. It really came out of an unexpected place. Garp said. Our layout made a mistake. He said. Damn. No way. Sengoku's face also became gloomy. Originally, according to the original plan, Marine was going to use fierce artillery fire to shell out after the 370th Pirates of Baihu group broke into the Gate of Justice, consuming a wave of the forces of the Whitebeard Pirates. But just now, because Whitebeard didn't show up, he didn't dare to attack rashly. And now, I guess there is no chance. Advertisement. Look. Under the water in the bay, shadows appeared. The underwater bubbles are rising faster and faster. Wow. With the sound of water, the water splashed in all directions, headed by the Mobile, the 4 main battleships of the Whitebeard pirate group officially appeared. Whitebeard. The Whitebeard pirates and 14 captains. All appeared. A Marine officer holding a telescope, his voice trembled a little. The appearance of the Mobile means that Whitebeard will appear soon. At this moment, everyone's mind is tense. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. As if the air had condensed, it was suffocating. Boom. On the Mobile, There was a sound of footsteps, and Whitebeard was holding a naginata and walking step by step to the forefront of the deck of the mobile. Looking at the countless Marines on Olus Square, there was no trace of fear on his face. "My beloved son, how are you? Be patient for a while." "Ace," Whitebeard murmured while looking at Ace on the execution stage. Sengoku fixed his gaze on Whitebeard, his face extremely embarrassed. After a long while, 3 words were slowly spit out. "Whitebeard." Koahahaha. Looking at Sengoku, Whitebeard laughed. Advertisement. Sengoku. We haven't seen each other for decades. At this time, Whitebeard was idle to talk about useless things, very confident. "Father." Ace on the execution stage suddenly roared. Whitebeard didn't speak, but grinned, and then directly inserted the naginata in his hand on the deck beside him, folded his arms in front of him, and gathered his strength. Suddenly, his arms slammed to the sides of his side, and the air split, and a spider web-like crack appeared from the center of Whitebeard's fist, like a broken mirror. What's the situation? The atmosphere actually cracked. BFCB. What happened to that explosion? The water level rose so high. In this tense atmosphere, and under the gaze of countless Marines, the water around naval headquarters suddenly and abnormally rolled. And in the midst of this tension, looking at the appearance of Whitebeard, Ace finally could no longer continue to control his emotions, and yelled at Whitebeard, "Father!" And everyone. Obviously I ignored everyone's advice. I ran out by myself. Why? Why don't I let me fend for myself? It was my arbitrarily acting that came to this point. No. I told you to go, son. Whitebeard said lightly. Lie. Lie. Don't lie. You obviously stopped me. Ace retorted loudly. I told you to go. Right, Marco. Advertisement. Whitebeard's face was plain, and then he asked Marco who was aside. Oh, I heard it too. You have suffered a lot, Ace. Marco said with a dead fish face expression. Besides, in this sea, no one knows. With our partners do it right, what will happen to you? Don't even think about living the one who hurt you, Ace. Wait, we're here to save you. Get ready to die, Marine Headquarters. The captains of the Whitebeard pirate group all looked angry. It's really unpleasant. Kizaru looked helpless. It's useless to say anything now. Equatorial Dog said. A group of troublemakers are ushering in. Xing-Ji said lazily. Although I said it for nothing, but the declaration is pretty hockey. Mu Feng suddenly said. Suddenly I discovered that being a pirate is also quite interesting. As soon as Mu Feng's words fell, the eyes of the surrounding people looked at him. Just kidding. Everyone knows that I am the person who hates pirates the most. Mu Feng shrugged and said casually, without any tension at all. Regarding Mu Feng's words, whether it is Kizaru or Aokiji, they just listened to them. At this moment, the entire naval headquarters shook violently, and countless Marines suddenly changed their expressions, looking around. All their eyes were shocked. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 253. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I saw in the distance. On both sides of the naval headquarters, 2 huge waves were set off, accompanied by a huge roar, swept across the sky and the earth. As if to completely swallow the entire naval headquarters into the sea. Whitebeard Pirates vs Naval Headquarters. The battle has started. Invaded as the 47 new world fleets led by the Whitebeard Pirates, headed by the Whitebeard Pirates. And it is the 2 forces under the world government, Marine Headquarters, and 7 warlords of the sea. No matter who wins or loses, the times will be change. The large tsunamis on both sides rushed towards the Marine Headquarters, and the huge waves that swept through were several times higher than the tallest building in Naval Headquarters. If such a tsunami were to fall, the entire Naval Headquarters would be submerged. What kind of power is this? It really is a legendary monster. Fur. Doflamingo laughed excitedly. Even if the capable person is submerged in the sea, it can be directly judged as death. But Doflamingo didn't have the slightest worry. If even this level of attack could not be blocked, the Marine Headquarters would not know how many times it was destroyed. Besides, Doflamingo can use the clouds in the sky to set up Sky's path at any time. It's really troublesome. At this critical moment, Aokiji on the side of Mu Feng murmured. Advertisement. Ice Age. The figure flickered and disappeared from the seat. The next moment, it suddenly appeared in the sky above Ola's square. His hands turned into ice. Two icicles shot out from Aokiji's hands and pierced the left and right sides. In the monstrous tsunami. The next Setsuna, the sky's chill swept across the entire Oris square. I saw the tsunami that was about to swallow the entire naval headquarters, but at this moment, it was frozen into a huge ice wall, towering on both sides. Go. I'm saved. Stopped its Aokiji admiral. Seeing Aokiji's move, Marine who was panicked in the square was also relieved, barely calmed down, looking at Aokiji with awe. Aokiji. You kid. Whitebeard aboard the Moby Dick looked at Aokiji who was in midair, frowned slightly, and grinned. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Facing Whitebeard, Aokiji didn't have the slightest fear. With a wave of his hands, several ice spears suddenly appeared in front of him, and they suddenly stabbed like Whitebeard. 2 thorn spears. Whitebeard grinned, snorted coldly, and struck the void sideways with a fist. Suddenly, the air shattered like a mirror, and a terrifying shock spread out. Several 2 thorn spears were directly and completely broken. Afterwards, the shocking force continued to extend, and a crack appeared on Aokiji's body. Advertisement. Faced with the shocking power of Whitebeard that can destroy the world, Aokiji didn't dare to hesitate, and directly transformed his whole body into an ice sculpture. The ice sculpture shattered under the shock of Whitebeard and fell to the sea. Shelling. Destroy the Moby Dick. The sea was frozen, and the Moby Dick became a living target. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Marine's artillery also rained down on the mobile. In order to deal with the Whitebeard pirate group, the artillery in the Gulf of Olis Square is all heavy artillery manufactured by Vegapunk. This type of artillery is used to attack the city, even if it is the leader of the Whitebeard pirate team. Don't dare to be careless. The bay is full of ice, and the ship is frozen. Ask for flowers. Now I have a place to stay. Go. Let Marine see our power. Under the leadership of Foil Vista, the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, countless pirates brazenly launched an impact on the Marines. The shadow of the sword was heavy, and countless shells exploded in the air. Vista cut off all the shelling, and the swordsmanship of the great swordsman was undoubtedly revealed at this moment. Will be against the general, the king against the king. Advertisement. Facing the captains of the Whitebeard pirate group, the admiral-class combat power will naturally not be dispatched. At this moment, it is the lieutenants of naval headquarters who stand up to fight. 0. Doberman, Huoshaoshan, Stalo Berry, Dalmesia, Flying Squirrel, are all top naval headquarters lieutenants. It seems that it's not that easy. The lieutenant generals gathered together, it is really rare to see, quack. Sweep the enemy, break into the bay, and rescue Brother Ace. Without a trace of retreat, the crew of the Whitebeard pirates were brave. The fierce battle has finally begun. Although you can't see it, Fujitora can hear the horror of the war just by sound. With a low voice, Fujitora said, "Since the war has begun, the old man should do his best." After speaking, he picked up the stick knife beside him and stood up. With pale eyes, he looked at Lieutenant General Whitebeard in Olis Square, and pulled out the knife in his hand. With a sharp slash into the sky, a purple gravity wave shot into the sky. Fujitora is one of the 7 people sitting under the execution stage. Being able to sit in this position on this occasion, even though Fujitora has no reputation, does not prevent Whitebeard from paying attention to him. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 254. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard stared slightly at Fujitora. Fujitora had just slashed into the sky with no momentum, but Whitebeard did not relax. Sengoku, Garp, Kizaru, etc. Marine executives also looked at Fujitora. Although he is Marine's deputy chief of staff, Fujitora's rank is only lieutenant general, and even the chief of staff, Suru, is not qualified to sit at the execution stage. The reason why Fujitora can sit here is completely won by Mu Feng. This is also the reason why Fujitora volunteered to be a Peach and Chong Yao. Fujitora naturally understands this truth, and he wants to show his strength. At the very least, he has to prove that he has the qualifications of 97 to sit in this position. Fujitora raised her head to face the sky. Everyone's eyes also looked towards the sky. At the next moment, Everyone's face appeared astonished. So, what is that? Above the sky, unexpectedly a meteorite fell. Advertisement. Buzzing, buzzing. The huge roar resounded through everyone's deafness. The meteorite mixed with flames, carrying unparalleled power, fell towards the Olis Square. Actually, unexpectedly, it is actually a meteorite. Is this the ability of the Fujitora Deputy Chief of Staff? It's also too scary. Not only are the pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group, but also Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru, Suru, it is the first time that Fujitora has seen a shot. This kid Mu Feng really found a terrifying monster. When this incident is over, I will step down. This kid will become Marine Marshal, and his admiral does not have to worry about being unsuccessful. Sengoku murmured on the execution stage. Sengoku's voice was so small that no one heard it. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Otherwise, Marshal Marine will step down as such a thing, but it will cause an uproar. What a terrifying ability. I didn't expect that this level of combat power is still hidden in Marine. Field Marshal Quentin Talon's eyes sank, with amazement in his eyes. At this time, the meteorite had already fallen, and the target was the Moby Dick. Huh, little bugs. Whitebeard snorted coldly. Although he said so, his face was extremely solemn, and he didn't mean to underestimate him at all. Advertisement. He clenched his right fist, slammed his fist, and blasted into the sky. With just a punch, the sky above the Moby Dick was all shattered above Whitebeard's head, dense cracks extended, and the power of the horrible shock came out. And in the next moment, the meteorite and the shocking force collided together. Rumble, rumbling. A huge roar sounded, resounding through the entire Olis Square. Whitebeard's shock fruit is indeed terrifying. The huge meteorite was crushed into countless small meteorites of different sizes under the fist of Whitebeard. Although the falling meteorite shower still poses no small threat, it is not easy for those who can stand on Olis Square, and small meteorites can still deal with it. Yo ha ha. It's a terrifying move. From this point of view, I'm going to attack too. It was Kizaru who said, and the person had already appeared in the sky. Bakichong Guyu. Kizaru spread his arms, and countless golden light bullets poured toward Whitebeard who was standing with a knife. It's too dazzling. Kizaru. Whitebeard, standing with a knife, said lightly. However, he didn't have the slightest intention of wanting to do something to Kizaru, and his body stayed still. Just when everyone thought Kizaru's attack could hit Whitebeard. Advertisement. A blue flame blocked Kizaru's attack. Kizaru Admiral's attack was prevented. What's that? Blue flames burning all over. I can't let you capture Wong all at once. A faint voice sounded, and a figure appeared in the blue flame. It is the captain of the 1st Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, Margot. It's terrible. The Whitebeard Pirates. Kizaru's mouth made a strange voice. Sure enough, it is a well-deserved ability. Zone monster species that is rarer than Logia. No matter what kind of attack, it can follow. The flame regenerates. Yo ha ha. To be honest, I have never seen this kind of bird. Oh ha ha. Kizaru and Margot watched the fighting fiercely. Mu Feng smiled and said, Senior Kizaru, it seems that we are about to start paddling again. Although Marco's strength is good, he is far behind Kizaru. If Kizaru is serious, he won't be able to defeat Marco soon. At the very least, it is still very simple to take full advantage of the battle with 1.4, but now it is completely matched. Hearing Mu Feng's words, Aokiji on the side was speechless. If it's about the ability to paddle, I'm afraid the entire naval headquarters is no better than you. Aokiji said silently in his heart. Marine Admiral who has never dealt with any documents. For 800 years, it is estimated that the case of Mu Feng has occurred in Marine. If you have the ability, just stop and watch. Suddenly he shouted. A huge block of ice, even several times larger than Lieutenant General Giant, was thrown towards the execution table by the captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, Diamond, Joes. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 255. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Pirate. Dared to be so rampant. All damn it. Big fire. Akadog stood up, his face gloomy, half of his body turned into a magma state. The other half of the body is made of prosthetic limbs made by Begapunk, which can even withstand the burning of magma. I have to say that Begapunk's technology is really amazing. The billowing black smoke rose from the red dog. Fists outrageously blasted out. A huge giant fist of magma appeared, blasting the iceberg thrown by Joe's. The magma collided with the ice. The water vapor appeared in the sky, and there was no ice left. The huge ice cube, all have evaporated. Akainu. It's Akainu's general council. And the red dog's offensive obviously didn't mean to stop, making a fist with one hand, and constantly blasting heavy fists into the sky. Meteor volcano. After a few breaths, countless magma fists fell in the sky. 11. The goal is the entire bay, and the red dog doesn't care if it will cause marine casualties. Advertisement. In his opinion, as long as the Whitebeard pirates can be eliminated and the war is won, then Marines' more casualties are worth it. After a while, the entire bay was plunged into chaos. Wow, wow, wow. It's a volcano bomb. Not good. A ship was killed by the red dog. Far away in the Chambord Islands, the pirates who saw this war through the video phone worm, including the supernovas who were lucky enough to escape from Mu Feng. It's just like the end of the world. They are all incomparably shocked. They have never seen such a terrifying battle. Kura la 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 la. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Whitebeard, who was standing on the mobile, laughed. The naginata in his hand directly cut a magma fist that fell on the mobile. This fire is too fancy. Whitebeard said disdainfully. You only ration the birthday cake with candles, magma boy. Hee hee hee. Akadog's face was stunned, and he said coldly, hee hee, don't you like a more luxurious funeral? Whitebeard. There's an old man, don't be afraid. Charge to the square. The pirate yelled. Damn it. Not once, then I'll do it again. Diamond Joe's gritted his teeth, and broke a huge block of ice from the bay, ready to hit the execution platform. Advertisement. However, it was directly cut off by a sword gas. It was Hawkeye, looking at Joe's, and said lightly, since I am Shichibukai, then I should do my duty. You can't make any further progress. Damn it. Hawkeye, you can't stop me. Joe's shouted. Really? Hawkeye said lightly. The wave of the hand is a direct slash attack. Seeing Hawkeye's slash, Joe's naturally didn't dare to show the slightest carelessness, and his whole body was diamondized to resist. However, the current Eagle Eye is already a swordsman of the Supreme Great Swordsman level, that is, a powerful person equivalent to the Four Emperors level. Although he still cannot slash a slash that is completely condensed by the sword intent, he uses the sword intent initially, it can still be done. And this is enough to make Hawkeye's slashing several times more terrifying than before. A crack was cut out of Jaws' diamond body. He raised his head and looked at Hawkeye in shock. Joe's couldn't believe it. Hawkeye could break his defense with a casual slash. You must know that Beasta is also a great swordsman, and they often compete. Beasta's slash can't break his defense at all. I didn't mean to kill you, so I advise you not to take a step forward. Hawkeye said lightly, and didn't mean to make another move. Joe's was afraid of Hawkeye's strength, and did not dare to take a step forward. The two confronted each other in a corner of the battlefield, but Joe's was also relieved and secretly said, I didn't expect Hawkeye to be so terrifying. It would be a good result to be able to hold him. This way, it should be fine. Hawkeye murmured in a low voice. Inadvertently glanced over Mu Feng, who was sitting under the execution stage. Advertisement. At best, Joe's is a quasi-admiral level combat power. And the Eagle Eye, who has realized the intent of the sword, is a real Four Emperors level combat power. If Hawkeye is willing, he will be able to get rid of Joe's soon. But Hawkeye did not do so. On the one hand, he didn't care much about the call of the world government. On the other hand, it was because before the war started, Mu Feng had approached him. Although he only said a word, it was enough to make Hawkeye have to pay attention. Ace is my brother. Although Mu Feng turned around and left after saying this, he did not intend to stop Hawkeye from participating in the battle on the top. However, Hawkeye had to carefully consider the meaning of Mu Feng's words. Eagle Eye, this guy is quite on the road. Looking at the two of Eagle Eye and Joe's who were facing each other, Mu Feng lowered his head and murmured with a smile. Okay. Suddenly, Mu Feng frowned, looked into the distance on the battlefield, and muttered to himself. It was a bit unexpected, but it was not unexpected. Ace. I'll save you. I saw a young man holding a steel pipe, sweeping away a large piece of marine towards the execution platform. On the execution stage, Ace's eyes widened when he heard this voice, and when he looked up, his eyes were full of disbelief. Sabo. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 256. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sabo. Is it really you? Sabo. Seeing Sabo, Ace even forgot about his going to be executed, and said with surprise on his face. Although he knows that Sabo is not dead, knowing it and seeing it with his own eyes are two different things. Ace. Wait a minute, I'll come to rescue you soon. Sabo, who was stopped by several lieutenants in the department, obviously had no time to talk to Ace too much. This kid looks like Ace's friend. Hula la 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 la. It's a nice kid to have the courage to intervene in such a war. Whitebeard laughed. The dragon of the Revolutionary Army sees no end. Although Sabo is the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, Whitebeard does not know him, but this does not prevent Whitebeard from developing a good impression of him. Although Whitebeard doesn't know Sabo, it doesn't mean that no one knows him. Except for Mu Feng and Ace, the first to recognize Sabo was Field Marshal Quentin Tarrant sitting next to Mu Feng. Advertisement. At the moment Sabo appeared, Quentin Tarrant's face turned gloomy. Sabo. The Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army. Damn. I didn't expect the Revolutionary Army to intervene in this matter. But just by chance, taking this opportunity to kill the second in command of the Revolutionary Army will be honest. It will be a while. With that, Quentin Tarrant stood up and took off the axe on his back. There are many countries on the Red Earth Road, and there are more than 200 countries participating in the world government, of which more than 100 countries are on the Red Soil continent. The Red Soil continent became the most active area of the Revolutionary Army. Therefore, the battle between the army and the Revolutionary Army is also the most frequent. Quentin Tarrant naturally knew the Revolutionary Army very well and recognized Sabo at a glance. Since there is a Revolutionary Army, let us give it to the army to solve it. Quentin Tarrant, holding a battle axe, suddenly exuded an extremely sturdy aura. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Based on this momentum alone, Mu Feng can judge that Quentin Tarrant, even if he is not a powerhouse of the Four Emperors level, is definitely not too far behind. The background of the world government can't be underestimated. Marshal Quentin Tarrant, be careful. Mu Feng suddenly said lightly. Advertisement. Quentin Tarrant was taken aback, and some did not understand what Mu Feng meant. And Scorsese on the side said with a little displeased words, Admiral, White Bear, don't think that there is only you Marine in this world. Marshal Quentin's strength is definitely not inferior to those on the sea. Four Emperors. Humph. If our army came to take control of the sea, it is estimated that all the pirates in the sea would have been wiped out long ago. Haha. Really? Then when this war is over, I will apply for a replacement between Marine and Army. Let me see how you eliminated all the pirates in the sea. Mu Feng said with a smile. He doesn't mean to be angry at all. A jumping clown like Scorsese, to be honest, if it is put in normal times, he doesn't even have the qualifications to let Mu Feng take a look. Scozes. Quentin Tarrant whispered Scorsese first. Then he looked at Mu Feng and smiled. Don't blame Admiral, Scorsese just casually said that Marine is stronger than the Army. This is an indisputable fact. The sea still needs Marine to sit in. After a pause, Quentin Tarrant continued. But please don't worry, Admiral, the White Bear. Although Sabo is the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, the old man still has this confidence to deal with him. The words are full of strong confidence. As a field marshal, he still has this confidence. Mu Feng shrugged, did not speak, just smiled. I secretly said in my heart, if you can kill Sabo, I will lose. Anyway, I have reminded you. Holding a battle axe and stepping on moonwalk, Quentin Tarrant's figure has appeared behind Sabo hundreds of meters away with a flash. At the same time, armament hockey was already covered on the battle axe and held it high. Advertisement. Quote. Sabo. Be careful behind you. Ace on the execution stage naturally saw this scene and couldn't help shouting. His eyes were splitting. He didn't want to see Sabo dying in front of him again, and he wanted to save himself. Boy, be careful. Whitebeard wanted to save Sabo, but was blocked by an ice wall and a giant magma fist. For a while, he couldn't make it through. Seeing Quentin Tarrant's battle axe was about to fall. Although Ace reminded him Sabo, Wang Wangs, noticed behind him, but in front of him, Doberman and Huo Xiaoshan were two of the old Marines. There is no chance to dodge. But apart from Mu Feng, no one noticed that Sabo didn't mean to dodge at all. Instead, a smile came up at the corner of his mouth. It's really cunning enough. Mu Feng suddenly smiled and muttered. Raising the battle axe high, Quentin Tarrant opened the door, which was a flaw, but Quentin Tarrant didn't care at all, because there was no surrounding him that could threaten his existence. But at this moment, without any signs, a light blue wind blade suddenly appeared, and then it blasted directly on Quentin Tarrant's chest. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 257. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Quentin Tarrant held the battle axe in both hands, too late to react, and confidently, he did not cover himself with armament hockey. The huge wind blade slammed into Quentin Tarrant's chest firmly. The flesh and blood rolled over, revealing the white bones. Ah! Quentin Tarrant gritted his teeth and let out a low roar in his throat. Because of the pain, his veins were violent. But soon the flesh and blood rolled in front of Quentin Tarrant's chest began to shrink inward, and the blood stopped. Obviously Quentin Tarrant's Marine 6 styles had also been practiced to the extreme, using the return of life to control his injuries, even for a short time. Civil War power will not be affected. Long. Quentin Tarrant growled, his face sullen. When the words fell, a hurricane suddenly blew up in front of Quentin Tarrant. The eye of the hurricane fell in front of Quentin Tarrant, and then condensed O20 appeared in a figure, wearing a dark green cloak, with a tattoo on his face extending to the neck. Advertisement. This person is exactly the most vicious criminal in the world. Monkey D. Dragon. Dragon. Sengoku on the execution stage looked at the dragon that appeared suddenly, with a complicated expression. Once the dragon was also a member of Marine, and was regarded as an admiral candidate by Sengoku. However, after seeing more darkness in the world government, Long chose to defect, and before defecting, he also walked away with a devil fruit in the naval headquarters warehouse. Logia, the fruit of the wind. It has the power to control the wind, and the dragon's development level of the violent wind fruit is much higher than that of Marine 3 Admiral. Using the power of the wind, the dragon can even control the weather. Garp. You bastard. Finally, Sengoku could only give Garp an annoyed look. After all, Long is Garp's biological son. Dragon. The little BBEA boy. Garp covered his face. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Even if he had a thick skin, he wouldn't have the face to look at Sengoku this time. Dragon. Whitebeard frowned, but soon stretched out again, although it is not clear why the Revolutionary Army would intervene in the war. However, it can be seen that the Revolutionary Army is like a friend but not an enemy. To tell the truth, after appearing in the Bay of Olus Square, Whitebeard saw the 7 combatants sitting under the execution platform. Although it was not obvious on the face, his heart was very heavy. Whitebeard is not an arrogant person without self-awareness. He is getting older and older, especially when he fought with the White Bear 5 years ago, which caused a recurrence of his dark injuries and a continuous decline in combat power. Advertisement. Even if the White Bear doesn't make a move, he can handle 2 of them at most with the remaining 6 powers, and no matter how much it is, it will be a little weak. And the team captains under his command, except Marco, are not really admiral-level powerhouses in the true sense. At this time, the dragon appeared and stopped Quentin Tarrant, the strongest of the 6 people after Mu Feng, and it was considered to have shared a very large part of the pressure for himself. Mu Feng looked at Long and Quentin Talon with interest. It's getting more and more interesting. The dragon guy didn't expect to really get involved in this war. 80% of it is because of Sabo. Otherwise, a person who is so cautious as the dragon, how could he interfere with this? Will destroy the Revolutionary Army's war. Mu Feng was the first to discover the trail of the dragon. At the beginning of the war, Mu Feng covered the entire war with the ultimate observation hockey to prevent sudden changes in the situation. After Sabo appeared, Mu Feng noticed. The whole body of Sabo was surrounded by a faint breeze, which Mu Feng was very puzzled. But after a little thought, you can know that it is the dragon's handwriting. As the capable person of the fruit of Logia's wind, of course dragons can also be elementalized. Moreover, the element of wind is invisible, but it is very difficult to detect. That's why Mu Feng said to make Quentin Tarrant be careful, but now it seems, he obviously didn't take his words to heart, so he just deserves it. Comma 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 comma. Marshal Quentin Tarrant, meet again. Long's voice was very low. The army and the Revolutionary Army fought frequently. Quentin Tarrant and Long are naturally dealing with each other, and they can be regarded as old acquaintances, but the relationship will obviously not be harmonious. Advertisement. Huh. Those who hide their heads and show their tails, the old man will kill you thoroughly today. Quentin Talon snorted, and the battle axe in his hand slashed directly at the dragon. The battle axe wrapped in armament hockey ripped the air and attacked the dragon. Naturally, the dragon did not dare to resist, waved his hand, and the howling hurricane swept towards Quentin Talon, but was directly split by Quentin Talon with an axe. The hurricane was broken up, the sand was blown away, and the scattered gale blew away all the people around, opening up a battlefield for the dragon and Quentin Talon. What is that? Suddenly, someone noticed a huge black shadow approaching the bay. It's the descendant of the demon warrior Oz. Little Oz. It's so big. It has surpassed the giants in common sense. Never allow him to invade into the bay. Ghost spiders, moles. The lieutenant generals of naval headquarters are waiting. If Oz's size invades the bay, it will be a disaster for Marine. Brother Ace is very good. I will never let him die. Little Oz, holding a 40-meter-long machete, said with an earn. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 258. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Oh he he. The descendants of Oz. Are you actually under Whitebeard? I really want his body. Moria said excitedly when he saw Oz appear. My hands. Itchy too. Doflamingo said, licking his lips. Although Oz, the demon berserker, belongs to the giant clan, his figure is more than several times larger than that of ordinary giants. As his descendants, Oz also inherited his terrifying body, standing there as if it were a big mountain, bigger than the ice block Joe's through before, and one leg has the giants of Marine here. The whole body of the lieutenant is even bigger. Keep shooting. He is also a human. It won't be useless. Need to look up at others, this is the first time. Stop that guy, it's our job. Several lieutenants of the giant race rushed over, but all were easily defeated by Oz, and there was no even an enemy that could wrestle with him. Never let him rush into the bay. The commander of the heavy artillery unit roared loudly. With his roar, countless shells blasted on Little Oz's body. But compared to Little Oz's huge body, the skin is several meters thick, and the heavy shelling on his body means that the skin is broken. What Little Oz had forcibly was to withstand countless artillery fire and walked into the bay step by step, passing through Marine's defensive wall and entering the bay. Advertisement. Oz. No way. You will be used as a target. Ace on the execution stage shouted loudly, he didn't want to see Oz injured. Brother Ace. I'll go to you. Ah. The huge mountain-like Little Oz yelled, lifting a warship with both hands, directly smashing into Marine's defensive wall, and invading into the bay. Oz has opened the breakthrough to the bay. Follow up. The pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group followed Oz. Oz, you reckless fellow. Death for nothing and bravery are two different things. Whitebeard shouted anxiously. But at the moment he was entangled by Aokiji and Akainu, and he also had to pay attention to the laser shots from Kizaru from time to time, so there was no time to take care of Oz. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Father. Don't stop me. I want to save Ace. Even if it is a minute early. I want to rescue Brother Ace as soon as possible. Little Oz roared loudly. I see. The rest are responsible for the aftermath. Cover Oz. Whitebeard yelled. Not good. Retreat quickly. Strengthen the defense in the bay. Never let them break into the Olis Plaza. A lieutenant general shouted. But the Little Oz who entered the harbor was simply invincible. Directly rushed to the sea area in the bay near Olis Square, and then moved on. It is the execution platform where Ace is located. Advertisement. This is already Marine's bottom line, so someone will naturally come out to stop it. Bartholomew Kuma. No, maybe it's more appropriate to call it a pacifist PX0. Because the bear at this time has been completely transformed by Vegapunk, has lost his personality, and has become a pacifist. Naturally, it will perform the tasks of world government unconditionally than anyone else. Bear's Paw Impact. The bear's signature attack is the bear's paw impact. The compressed air is condensed into a terrifying air bomb to attack the enemy. The bear has no reservations about Oz's attack. Look for flowers. Even though it was little Oz's huge body, he was already covered with blood and his eyes turned white after the bear's blow. Oz, give it up. You can't make it. Ace shouted loudly. At least, I want to get rid of a Shichibukai. The bear's attack was not so easy to bear, and Oz felt that he could not move on. So before falling down, he decided to pull a Shichibukai back. He saw Doflamingo standing aside, and his huge fist blasted directly. Advertisement. Doflamingo was taken aback. 0. The corners of the mouth split, and String Fruit's ability to set up Sky's path easily escaped Oz's punch that was enough to destroy Marine's defensive wall. Then the fingers gently twitched, and one of Oz's legs rose directly into the sky. It can only be said that Oz has chosen the wrong object. And he too underestimated 7 warlords of the sea, and no one in 7 warlords of the sea could be dealt with by a guy of the level of Oz. Ah! Little Oz roared and fell to the ground. Doflamingo, you bastard! How can I cut off his feet? I said clearly, I want his body. Moria yelled angrily. Go to hell. Corner Blade Shadow. Moria attacked. He can't let Oz continue to live, otherwise he doesn't know what Oz's body will be destroyed by Doflamingo. The fallen Oz still wanted to reach out and smash the execution platform, but he couldn't do it at all. Oz. Ace roared in pain. His roar was extremely miserable. This war was simply torture and suffering for Ace, and his eyes were a little lost. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 259. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Oz. The veins on Whitebeard's forehead were exposed. How could he not be angry when he saw his son falling in front of him? The flaw is exposed. Whitebeard, you shouldn't be sentimental. A giant Marine lieutenant saw Whitebeard's attention shifting, thinking that he had found a flaw. He raised the huge axe in his hand and threw it at Whitebeard. And Whitebeard didn't even look at this guy directly. With just a punch, the power of the shock was mixed with Whitebeard's anger, and it hit the body of the giant naval headquarters, directly stunned to death. Go past Oz and move on. Whitebeard yelled. 070. Furfurfur. It's so interesting. He took control of a captain of the Whitebeard pirate group and ordered him to fight with the pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group. Looking at the chaotic pirates and Marine in the bay, Doflamingo yelled with excitement, pirates are evil. Marine is justice. This concept has long been outdated. I don't know how long it's been. Children who don't know what peace is, and those who don't know what war are, their values are different. Only those at the top can rewrite good and evil. It is neutral at this moment. Only the victor is justice. Quote. Victory is justice. Ha ha. Doflamingo, this guy knows very clearly. So, I will always be righteous. Hearing Doflamingo's yelling, he sat under the execution stage. Mu Feng said with a smile. Advertisement. No matter how fierce the battle below is, Mu Feng did not intend to take action. Because, now is not the time. The battle on top. Ha ha. Only when he evolves into a world war, then is the best time to take action. Don't let the passage opened by Oz be sealed. March into the bay. A huge icebreaker under the Whitebeard pirate group directly broke through the barrier of the bay. Hey, it's time to implement the battle plan. Seeing all the ships of the Whitebeard pirate group marching into the bay, Sengoku picked up the phone worm and said. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Seeing Sengoku's actions on the execution stage from a distance, Whitebeard frowned. Kula la 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 la. What the hell are you thinking, Shisho, Sengoku of Buddha? At this time, on the execution platform, Garp came up suddenly and sat beside Ace. Glancing at Garp, Sengoku asked, what are you doing here? Garp, do you have any objections to combat? To Garp, Sengoku wasn't very worried. Quote. Garp's face was gloomy, and he was silent for a while before he said, no. The opponent is a pirate, there is nothing to sympathize with. In that case, Sengoku wanted to speak. Advertisement. After all, the battle situation in the entire Alice Square is broadcast in real time, and 5 elders will definitely watch it. If Garp stays at the execution stage, he will inevitably be held accountable by 5 elders afterwards. But as soon as Sengoku spoke, he was interrupted by Garp. Shut up. What does it matter? Just stay here. Although I don't sympathize with the pirate. But family members are different, what should I do? Ace, brat, why don't you live as I said? At this point, Garp was already crying. Seeing Garp like this, Ace seemed silly. Sengoku, who was on the sidelines, was also a little dazed. He didn't expect Garp to cry. He has worked with Garp all his life and knows Garp better than anyone. The will is like steel. No matter it is facing any powerful enemy, he will only laugh and make Garp cry. That is definitely not ordinary pain. Garp. Sengoku sighed in his heart. If it weren't for the orders issued by 5 elders, he couldn't resist. Even for his old friends, he wouldn't want to execute Ace. At this moment, a noisy sound suddenly sounded in the sky. Ought to be full of ice below. I'm an eraser. I'm fine. Advertisement. You kid only cares about his own life. Think of a way. I don't want to die like this. Who will catch me? Straw Hat. Bastard. I know I shouldn't listen to his ideas. Then I saw a ship falling down from the sky. Luffy. This guy, he is still so weird. Mu Feng under the execution stage slightly raised his mouth and murmured with a smile. It was Straw Hat crew who broke into the bay at this time, and in 5.8 there were Jinbei, Crocodile, Buggy, and other pirates they rescued from breaking into the great undersea prison. Dragon, Quentin Terran, Whitebeard, Aokiji, aka Inu, Kizaru. Marine, Pirate, everyone's battle came to a halt. Luffy. Ace on the execution stage widened his eyes. Hi, Ace. I finally saw you. Seeing Ace, Luffy started very much, and then shouted, "We're here to save you." Luffy. You are here too. I don't think you will come anymore. The voice sounded, and Luffy was stunned when he heard this voice. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 260. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hearing this sound, Luffy's eyes widened and looked over. I couldn't help but exclaimed. Sabo. Is that you? Sabo. That's great. I heard Mu Feng said that you are still alive, but I have never heard from you. Garp. It's your family again. Sengoku shouted. Luffy. Garp scratched his head angrily. This kid can really cause trouble. Long glanced at Luffy and murmured with a smile. I can't help but focus part of his attention on Luffy. After all, Luffy is his own son. Jinbei. Sand Crocodile. And the Revolutionary Army Evakov. Behind is also the famous pirates of the past. It is the prisoners of Impel Down. What a man who keeps talking. Hawkeye. Straw Hat Kid. Moria. Fufurfurfur. Is the old and new Shichibukai gathered together. The other one is the rumored newcomer, Straw Hat. Dover 11 Lamingo. Isn't that the younger brother that Ace always talks about? Marco. Advertisement. That guy. Yes, it's the grandson of the hero Garp. The dragon's son. This kind of harm must be removed from him. Akinu. Is that your answer? Jinbei. Sengoku roared. Yes. I'm not doing Shichibukai anymore. Jinbei shouted without hesitation. Whitebeard is kind to the Fishmen Island, he can't ignore it. Boy, that straw hat, it looks very similar to the one worn by the red-haired guy before. Whitebeard asked, taking a look at the straw hat on Luffy's head. Huh, uncle, do you know Shanks? Shanks entrusted me to keep it. Luffy asked, looking up at Whitebeard. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Hee. Are you here to save your brother? Whitebeard didn't answer Luffy's question. Yes. Luffy nodded. Hey. Who your opponent is, you should be very clear. With your level, beware of life. Whitebeard said unceremoniously. Don't be fussy. Don't worry about it. I know, you want to be One Piece. It's me who wants to be One Piece. Luffy shouted. Quote. Advertisement. Looking at Luffy, Whitebeard suddenly raised his mouth. For some reason, from Luffy, Whitebeard saw the shadow of an old friend, the self-righteous bastard. If you drag your feet, I can't spare you. The stinky bastard. I will do it my own way. Ace, let me save him. Luffy clenched his fists seriously. These guys are all sentenced to death, okay. Marshal, Kizaru said suddenly. But Sengoku hasn't spoken yet, but Mu Feng on the side glanced at him, and then faintly said, Senior Kizaru, you can try. Amount. Kizaru's face was a little embarrassed, and then he remembered the relationship between Luffy and Mu Feng. Luffy, what shall we do now? It was Zoro who made the sound. Unlike the plot, it was the entire Straw Hat Pirates who invaded the naval headquarters this time. Sanji on the side also looked at Luffy. The two of them are not as brainless as Luffy. Look at the few people sitting under the execution stage, and pick out any one of them that has the strength to sweep the entire Straw Hat Pirates. I don't know, but I will save Ace. Luffy's answer left everyone speechless. Advertisement. On the side, Nami, holding the weather bar in his hand, looked at the chaotic battlefield around him, and shook the weather bar in his handshake, feeling a little nervous. Nami, don't be nervous. I'm watching you here and won't hurt you. And the beautiful Miss Robin, don't forget, you still owe my bet. Nami and Robin's ears suddenly there was a smiling voice. Big brother Mu Feng. Nami was taken aback, and hurriedly looked around and searched for it. Seeing Mu Feng looking at him under the execution stage, he couldn't help but feel confident. With the strength of Mu Feng, Nami and Robin are within their sight. As long as they are not a sneak attack by a powerful person beyond the Four Emperors level, Mu Feng can be rescued, and they have an observation haki that can predict the future. Whether they surpass the Four Emperors, the strongest man is lurking around 267, and Mu Feng knows it all. In other words, no matter how tragic the war is, with their own protection, Nami and Robin will never be in any danger. As for the others in Straw Hat, Luffy doesn't have to worry at all, and the other. Since he has chosen to come here, he should have the determination to die. Don't come here, Luffy. You should be very clear. You and I are pirates. Each rushes to the sea in my heart. I have my partner. I have my adventure. You don't need to come. Intervene. I was reduced to asking a useless kid like you to save me. Do you think I would agree? It's a shameful shame. Ace looked at Luffy and roared, go back. Luffy. Why are you here? What? Ace. You are not right to say that. After Sabo blocked Stallo Berry's slash with the steel pipe in his hand, he looked at Ace and smiled. Yes. Sabo is right. Luffy looked at Ace and shouted, I am your brother. I don't care about pirate rules. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtlnovel for free. Advertisement.